Welcome to Kevin's Garage. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite cars of all times, and that is the 4th Gen Camaro. I had my first 4th Gen, was a 95 Z28, and I had that car for many years, probably 10, 12 years, put a lot of miles on it. I really loved that car. Later on, I went back and got a 93 just because I missed the car. That's this picture that we're looking at here. This car only had 20,000 miles on it when I got it. But 4th Gen Camaros are really awesome cars, but I want to talk a little bit about what made them so special when they came out. And one of those things was that you could get the 350 and the 6-speed manual for the first time. In the 3rd Gen Camaro, if you got the 350, then it had to be the automatic. If you got the manual shift, then it had to be a 305. For the 4th Gen, gone is the 305. If it's a V8, it's a 350. You can get a manual shift. And with T-tops. Now, there was some back and forth with the 3rd Gen on whether or not you could get T-tops and 350s, and maybe some year yes and maybe some year no. But you definitely couldn't get a 350 and manual shift in the 3rd Gen, whereas you could in the 4th Gen. Also, the 4th Gen Camaro, the body panel construction changed. This car incorporates SMC. It's a lot more of an aerodynamic design than the 4th Gen, which was, I liked the 3rd Gen Camaro, but it was kind of a boxy 80s design. And, the 90s design, I feel like they did some special things with this car. You can kind of see the quarter panel, front left quarter panel, like integrates right into the rear view mirror, which is actually attached to the door. And the rear spoiler is integrated into the fin of the car. When I do the tour of the vehicle, the 99 SLP SS that we're going to look at, I'll talk about the LS1 engine. But yeah, GM stuck with the pushrod V8, whereas other manufacturers were going the way of smaller engines with overhead cams. GM stuck with the pushrod V8, and that engine has a lot of low-end torque. And when I do the ride-along video, keep an eye on the RPMs. Like, this car can muscle around at super low RPMs, quietly, be an enjoyable car to drive. It really is a great mixed roll car. I mean, you could take it to a formal event, you're using the air conditioning, you take the car out on date night, or you can take the car to track day. I mean, it really can do it all. But I'm going to quit yapping. Let's dive into the tour of this 99 SLP car. I'll tell you some more things about the engine on the tour, and then afterwards we're going to take it for a drive and listen to the incredible exhaust that this car has and see some of the performance. All right, let's take a little tour of this 1999 Camaro. This is a 99 Camaro SS. This is what they call a real, an SLP SS. And what that means is that, so at this point in production, if you ordered an SS and you just got the regular SS package, you didn't get any additional options, then the cars were being produced with the hood and the tail scoop, and the badging and the wheels right at the factory to go right to the dealership. But if you ordered other options on the car, then it had to be sent to SLP to receive those options. And if that's the case, then you got an SLP sticker in your door jamb. And as you can see, this car was sent to SLP. It got a number of options. This top one being the most important, the performance exhaust. So this has the SLP chambered exhaust system, and that chambered exhaust system is music. It's a great addition to the car. It sounds great. What I really like about it is that at low RPM, it's not super loud. So the car has the ability to be quiet, and then it just comes to life when the engine comes to life, like a symphony of destruction. It is a wonderful exhaust system. If you're coming home late, you can make the car kind of be quiet, and it's not loud. I don't think my neighbors hate this car. And if you want it to be loud and you get into the throttle a little bit, it really comes to life. It's also got the SLP SS floor mats and key fob and plaque. And there's the floor mats right there, the Camaro SS floor mats. And then it's got the Camaro SS plaque right right there. We'll just kind of do a little bit of a walk around. This car has T-tops, which is nice about 4th gen Camaros. T-tops don't have to go in a bag, and they don't have to go in a storage area behind the seats. The trunk opens up. There's a rack in the trunk. The T-tops weigh 20 pounds. They have or probably 15 pounds. They have locks on them. You can lock them in. You unlock them. There's a little handle in there. You just turn. You don't have to unbolt anything. You just turn the handle. The T-tops pop out, and you can put them right in the rack in the trunk, which is great. It makes them very easy to use. I mean, there are times I've driven the car to work. I've just pulled the driver T-top out. But the other thing I have to say about T-tops is that I enjoy them even when they're in, because they're clear. You can see the sky. It just gives the car a more open feel. You're in, like a special car. Not every car has T-tops. Not every car has a glass roof. I like the T-tops. It's an addition to the car. Why would you not want them? And with the storage rack that they come in to go in the trunk, it's it just makes them so easy to take out, lock in place. Once they're in there, they don't get knocked around. They clip in. It's a very good system that they came up with on these cars. Now, these wheels are 17-inch wheels, these 5-spoke wheels. I believe they're called the A molds, and they originally debuted on the ZR1 Corvette, C4 ZR1 Corvette. And they decided to use them on SS Corvettes, SS Camaros, which I think is a good move. The ZR1 Corvette, the later ones were special cars, and the SS model Camaro is a special car, so it shares the A-mold wheels with the ZR1. And then, of course, it has the SS badging on the back, and it has that awesome tail scoop. Probably one of the best spoilers of all time. Spoiler alert. It is just a radical, to me, it just looks exotic. It gives the car quite a flair. It looks like no other spoiler. And you have to go into it, kind of realizing that the spoiler to begin with on the 4th gen Camaro was pretty cool. It was pretty awesome. It was incorporated into the design of the car. It kind of ran right into the quarter panels of the car. The fin, the spoiler that all 4th gens have built into the back. It's kind of uniquely built into their architecture, which I think is awesome. And then the SS just kicks it up by a notch by flipping that back section up and then having those 2 bridges in the middle. It just gives the car this exotic look. I love it. The other thing, you can tell 2nd generation, it has the turn signal lights on it, which I like. It gives the back of the car a little bit of color. This exhaust system, from the outside, doesn't cry out that it's anything special. It is awesome. The SLP chambered exhaust is music. With a pushrod V8 out in front of it, what comes out of those tailpipes, it just makes me happy. And then again, like the rear spoiler, the front mirror of the car is incorporated into the quarter panel. This 4th gen styling is just such a beautifully styled car. The door handles are sunken into the door, to create, an aerodynamic thing there. The quarter panels are incorporated into the rear view mirrors, which are attached to the door, but mold with the panels. Now, this particular car is a 99. It has 67,000 miles on it. It's never been in an accident. I mean, the lines on this car are just perfect. It makes me wish I had a marble to just roll on it. This car would definitely pass the old marble test. There's a lot of opportunity in these 4th gens for these lines to not line up and to be out of whack, and they're not. They had problems with this back window seal. My 95, I had to replace that window seal. I had issues with it. But the 2nd gens, I think they got the window seal a little bit better. One issue that these cars have is these sail panels. The glue that's underneath tends to show through, and that was happening with this car. So this panel was repainted when the hood was repainted. So the hood, the sail panel, and the SS emblem up front are all painted, inset are all painted the same, like basically factory style paint black, which I think looks awesome. It's a unique touch on the car, and it's also like done very high quality. Like I said, it's got this stripe here. So that's the exterior tour of the car. Let's take a quick look at the engine and talk about the engine real quick, because it's definitely one of the highlights of this vehicle. All right, so now when they redesigned the front end of the car, so the front end had recessed lights from 1993 to 1997. It also had the LT1 engine. And then in 1998, the car got the LS1, and the front end of the car was changed a little bit. We had these bubble lights. I've heard it's for pedestrian safety. The other lights were too low and they were glass, so they raised the lights up a little bit. But in raising up the front a little bit, what they also did, gave them the opportunity, was to change the SS intake, which was added to the car. I believe like SLP started doing that like in 1995. So in 1993, you only had a Z28, 94, you only had a Z28. And then in 95, I believe it was, the SSs started becoming available. But the thing was, the air intake used to sit right on top of the engine because the hood was so low to the engine. But with the bubble lights in the front and the redesign, and not from 98 and up, it gave them room to have the proper air intake and around and back down to the base of the hood for this ram air hood, okay? And that's important because there's vents all in these back curves, so that if water comes in, it vents out of those holes. Whereas with the earlier cars, you had the air intake up here, and the air cleaner would be right on top of the engine. And, you know, it was potential for water to get right into the engine that way. Now, again, this is the LS1. What is so awesome about the LS1? We could probably go on for hours and hours and hours. I'm just going to mention, you know, basically four things, two at once. First of all, when this engine came out, they pretty much made fun of this intake, this plastic intake. This intake was a culmination of the two that came before it. The L98 Corvette had long tube runners, and the LT1, the engine that was in the car up to 1997, had a short runner intake on it. Now, long tube was better on the bottom end, and short tube was better on the high end of RPM for performance. And this is like a medium. It's a compromise between the two. Like, they kind of experimented with both. They compromised and they came out with this one. When this car came out, people literally made fun of that plastic intake, that curved intake. It was like the joke of the year on the streets. Now, every car has that same intake. It's the funniest thing. Nobody bats an eyelash at it now, and nobody's laughing now because every car has that. The other thing that the LS1 introduced in 1998, well, was coil over plug, right? So instead of having one coil in a distributor like the LT1 before it had, the LT1 had the OptiSpark distributor on the front, and then pre-1992, the L98s had a distributor on the back of the engine, which would have never been compatible with this frame of car. This car has 8 coils, one coil for each plug, coil over plug. And when that came out, it was like, again, it was like a laughing stock. Now, every car has coil over plug. I mean, coil over distributors are like a thing of the past now. But so when people look at this engine, like, they don't bat an eyelash at this stuff because all these engines have this stuff. But this is the car that brought it. And when they brought it, they made fun of it. But now everyone does it because it's such a good, such a well-designed system that works so well. The other thing I'll mention about the LS1 that is total, two other things I have to mention. Number one is that this is an all aluminum engine, right? That's the biggest difference. The LT1 that came before it was a cast iron block. This is an all aluminum engine, which is awesome. That's pretty awesome. This is the pinnacle of push rod V8s, single cam, port injection, you know, not direct injection, none of this stuff. This is the pinnacle of that base architecture engine. It has an aluminum small block. But what I have to mention about this engine is, and what really set it apart from the LT1, is the lower main crank setup, right? The LT1 was a 4-bolt main. This is actually a 6-bolt main. So where the caps go on to the bottom end of the engine, you have 2 bolts on each side of the LT1, which is, and all the engine, the predecessors before it. Um, and that was it. Not to mention the fact that those caps kind of stuck out below the base of the actual block of the engine. On this engine, the LS1, the all aluminum LS1, the frame of the actual engine itself goes down further. There's 4 bolts coming up from the bottom, 2 on each side, and then there's a bolt coming in on each side. So this is a 6-bolt main bottom end. So these engines are said to be able to handle between 700 and 800 horsepower as they sit. And originally, somewhere in the back of my mind, I had this fantasy I was going to turn this into some crazy car, and then I got it and I just started driving it, and it ran so good and it had as much power as I needed. I'd never wound up doing anything to it. The only modifications to this car are, if you take a look in here, those headers are not factory. Those are medium length headers that this car has, and they definitely set off that SLP chambered exhaust. This thing has an incredible sounding exhaust system. My buddy has a Viper, and the first time I brought this car over to his house, I left, and then he text messaged me. He's like, "Oh my God, your car sounds better than mine does driving away." The sound of this exhaust is awesome. There's going to be some sound. I'll clip in some sound clips of this car going by. This engine sounds terrific. This exhaust system sounds terrific. But back to the LS1. The LS1, the big thing that sets it apart, what makes it so much awesome, and really honestly better than the LT1, is that it can handle 700 to 800 horsepower. And the last thing I'll just mention, which it's unfortunate, the LT1 is not a bad engine, but it has a bad habit of leaking oil. The seals on the LS1 were upgraded. The rear main seal, the head seals, things were changed on this engine. It is not known to leak oil. The intake seals are better. They learned some lessons that from the LT1 and the models before it, the L98 and the L84. And this LS1 is just, nobody dislikes this engine. The later engines may have gotten stronger. Maybe, the LT series, of course, is offering more now. But this LS1 all aluminum small block Chevy, it's magnificent. It will handle 700 to 800 horsepower. But this car was dynoed. Okay. So I know people always ask, have you ever had any maintenance problems with the car? Yes, I had one maintenance problem with this car. The crankshaft position sensor went bad on the car, right? And so unfortunately, if you turn the car off, it won't restart if the crank position sensor is bad. So it won't start back up, like, if in that condition. So I did have to replace the crankshaft position sensor. I had the car taken to our area's LS1 specialist, which is Twisted Synergy Motorsports. While the car was there, while it's there, hey, it only needs a crankshaft position sensor. Hey, can you guys go through the computer and maybe dyno it for me? I want to say it dynoed out like 375 with the headers. There might be high flow cats in there with the SLT chambered exhaust, and they may have got in and played with the computer a little bit. It does pass inspection. Put it on an inspection machine. I took it right to Valvoline, and it passed inspection the first time. So that is the LS1. It does have an Optima battery in it. The car sat for 8 months. I did have to jump start it, but after I ran it for an hour, that battery was just like brand new. So that is things going on in the front of the car. Let's hop inside and take a look. This car, it's crazy. I opened the door and I drove a 2001 brand new on the lot, in 2001. And you open the door and you get that smell of the leather. I got that when I took this car out of storage last week. That same leather smell. This car just is so clean, and look at the condition of the seats. I mean, like, no holes. There is a little bit of wear here, which I haven't even attempted to try to correct, which I probably could. You can see the door cards are in very good condition. No issues there. Nothing going on there. Of course, it's got the SS floor mats. The fourth gens all have this nice sill protector, which protects the sill when you're getting in and out. Let's talk about the interior. This interior is the updated interior from the first generation of C4 fourth generation Camaro. This is not an upgrade. So on early fourth gen Camaros, they had the Bose system. Now, what's interesting is if the car had cloth seats, then you got the 3-speaker Bose, and that system was not good. If you ordered leather seats, you got the 5-speaker Bose system, and that system was good. Okay, so my 93 car had leather and it had the 5-speaker system. Totally awesome. And I didn't get why people would complain and say, oh, that Bose system sucks. And then my 95 car that I bought later, my 93 car that I bought later had the cloth seats and had the 3-speaker system. Not good. That 3-speaker system is not anything impressive. But if you ordered the leather and you got the 5-speaker Bose system from 1993 to 96, this interior upgrade actually happened in 1997. So the 97 car, which is also the anniversary car, has the updated interior, but the LT1 engine. And then 99, which this car is, we're still carrying this steering wheel here. This is the original steering wheel. In 2000, they changed the steering wheel, and I like this one better. This is just, it's very easy to push these buttons. And I just like the style of this one better. I like these little handles right here. I'm not saying I don't like the other one, and the updated one does have the radio controls on it. And back to the radio. So this monsoon system, here's what I would say. This monsoon system sounds great at low and medium volume. At low and medium volume, it's almost basically as good as the Bose. When you get to high volume, that's where the monsoon system sort of loses its thunder. It just does not have the backbone that the Bose system has. It does have the fade and the balance and the bass and the treble, and these buttons pop out and you can push them back in. And it's not a bad system. And if I was 25, I'd probably have to change that. But, you know, for me, medium, low and medium, high quality music, it suits my needs at this point, and so I've just kept it. This is the upgrade here. The other one had this awkward, I don't think it was a cassette holder here. It was terrible. They also give you another cup holder with this car, which is nice. And they give you 2 more cup holders back here. Boom, bonus, because the original car had a cup holder right, you know, this cup holder right here, you know, and the ad for the car said, you know, big enough to hold a Slurpee. And this thing is a giant cup holder. It is a good one. It holds different size cups, but you only had one, and that was a downfall in the 93 and the 95 and 93 that I had. This has got, you know, 4 cup holders, which is much better. This remains unchanged. It's the same thing in the other car. The shifter, it's a Borg Warner 6-speed, which it was in the earlier cars, but this is a short throw shifter. It doesn't have quite the travel. If you take a look at, see the travel right there? Boom, that's first, that's second, that's third. I believe this is a Hurst short throw shifter. I'm not 110% sure. It doesn't say Hurst, but it is without doubt a short throw shifter, and it is less travel. Do I love it? Do I hate it? I don't know. It's not bad. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I didn't mind the full travel one, but I've gotten used to this one too, and I could go either way. I like them both. This one, performance wise, this is better. It's easier, but you know, I'm like kind of old school, and I didn't mind the other one, and I guess this isn't so bad. I would basically, the way I would put it was, if I had the old one, I wouldn't change it. And if I have the new one, I wouldn't change. I would just leave it the way it is. Either of them aren't bad. You've got your climate controls just like the other car had. You got your dashboard over here just like the other car had. Got to have some 80s glasses. I have no idea where those came from. I have no clue. We got a phone holder, which was of no help in the video today. And that's pretty much it for the interior. I am not going to snowball you and tell you that this interior is straight out of a $100,000 European import. The interior, is not the greatest thing to ever be created, but I mean, you could see it's in good shape. Nothing's broken. There is actually a little light right here that shines down on these. All of these buttons are in place. All of these buttons work. You know, this works to power mirrors. This vehicle doesn't have any of those issues. My other one, my 95, I had to replace this, I think twice. I have not had any issues with this car. This one, it's all worked. This car has always been a second car. This has never been a primary vehicle for somebody. It's always been a second car. I'll show you these T-tops. Just hit this handle and these T-tops come right up. Look at that. And I'll show you how easy this is. So let's look at the process of taking the T-top out and putting it in the back. The driver's one does go first. Well, let's look at how easy this is. All we have to do is unclip it, lift it up. Again, it probably weighs all of 5 pounds. Drop it into the rack in the trunk and clip it in. And that's it. It's good to go. And we'll take a look at that rack. Let's take a look at that. There's the cover that's on the car 99% of the time. You know, and here's the rack in there that these T-tops lock right into. You just open it up, and the bar slides right into the rack, and that thing is nice and captured in there and isn't going anywhere. Listen to these doors shut. Oh, this car's just, and again, the lines. Never been in an accident. Never had body work done to it. So there it is. That's the 99 SS Camaro LS1. We're gonna take the car for a little bit of a ride, so that you guys can hear this SLP SS chambered exhaust, because coupled with the medium length headers, it is magic. So we'll just give the car a couple cold starts, and then we'll take it for a ride. So I just want to show what it's like to just take the car for a ride. It's got a lot of low-end torque. It can very easily be driven around at very low RPM, and be a docile driver car. That low-end torque is just great, and the car can be quiet and enjoyable. You can take it out on date night, or, it's not just a fire-breathing dragon. Notice how low the RPMs are as the car is driving along. I mean, it's just not working. It runs great. It can muscle the car along, barely getting into the throttle at all. The low end torque on this LS1 is just great. Watch when I go around this turn how low the RPMs will stay while accelerating. So let's just get a couple of quick passes of the car going by up close. Alright, first let's do a quiet pass, just a friendly leaving the neighborhood. This is kind of like the Knight Rider stealth mode. And this car, it can be quiet too, it can mind its manners. Alright, let's throw a log on the fire. This is like half throttle. Now, I'd say this. You don't buy a 25-year-old, absolutely beautiful Super Sport Camaro to beat on it. But that having been said, it is a Super Sport Camaro. And coming soon, one of these days, we're going to get it out to the local quarter mile and see exactly what this car can do. Tune back in for that. So in closing, I would say that, it's a great mixed roll car. It can do a lot. I mean, my wife and I took it up to Lake George. We took the T-tops out. We spent most of our time on back roads. It was a great car. It runs good. I've never had an issue with it other than the crank position sensor, which was very cheap to get fixed. It's a good car. It has another side. It has a demon side. It's, it runs good when you want it to run good. It's fairly quiet if you want it to be quiet. And then when you put your foot down and you get to about 3/4 throttle, this thing has a animal side that comes out. So it's a fun car to drive. You can do regular driving with it. You can do sport driving with it. You can do almost pretty terrifying driving with it. It does pretty much whatever you want it to do. The car is in very good condition. The drivers, people that have owned this car, myself and the previous owner, we own multiple cars and we take care of them. We enjoy them. We drive them. We take care of our vehicles. It's important to us that they run well. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to Kevin's Garage if you think you'd like to see more. We'll see you next time.